Hello, my friend. Imagine standing under the blinding spotlights of a crowded stadium, holding a golden trophy high as tens of thousands chant your name. You are at the very top of the world. But as the noise fades, you look into the crowd, searching for just one face. The face of the man who never got to see you win. His name is Cristiano Ronaldo. To the world, he is an unstoppable force, a machine of pure discipline and 5 Ballon d'Ors. But behind the ruthless determination and the sculpted physique lies a quiet, unhealed wound. A story born not in the glamour of Madrid or Manchester, but in a leaking house on a small, rainy island in Portugal, and a promise made to a father lost to alcoholism. Tonight, let us look beyond the records and the fame. Let us journey into the heart of a boy who built an empire to fight a shadow. Welcome back to VitaCast. Long before his name was written in light across European stadiums, Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro was just a boy living on a small island in the Atlantic Ocean. Madeira was known to tourists as a tropical paradise of lush green hills and ocean views. But for those living in the impoverished neighborhood of Quintal do Falcão in Funchal, reality was far from a picturesque postcard. In 1985, when his mother, Maria Dolores, found out she was pregnant with her 4th child, her heart sank. She worked back-breaking hours as a cook to put food on the table, while her husband struggled with low-paying jobs. Overwhelmed by poverty, Dolores even considered ending the pregnancy. She drank warm beer and ran until she collapsed, hoping her body would let go of the child. But the baby within her fought quietly to stay. On February 5, 1985, Cristiano was born into a world that had almost closed its doors on him before he took his very first breath. Life in the Aveiro household was a relentless struggle against hardship. Their home was a fragile tin-roofed shack on a steep hillside. Whenever Atlantic storms rolled in, heavy rains poured through cracks in the ceiling. The family would rush to place old buckets on the floor, listening to the cold dripping of water throughout the night. Cristiano shared a tiny bedroom with his brother Hugo and 2 sisters. There was no hot water, no luxury, and very little heat to fight off the damp ocean chill. Yet, amid the cold rains and empty cupboards, the little boy found a warmth that no poverty could extinguish. It lived inside an old, tattered football, or a bundle of rags tied tightly with string. While other children played with real toys, Cristiano was out on the rough cobblestone streets. He played barefoot on the steep slopes of Madeira until his toes bled and the sun dipped beneath the horizon. The street was his canvas, the battered ball his paint, and the ocean breeze his only audience. He did not know it then, but those slippery alleys were quietly shaping a legend. Every child looks at their father as a superhero, a giant who shields them from the harsh world. For young Cristiano, his father, José Diniz Aveiro, was indeed a hero, but one with a deeply broken soul. Diniz had once been a proud young man, but his life was irrevocably shattered during his military service in Africa. Forced to fight a brutal war in Angola, he returned home to Portugal carrying invisible wounds that no medicine could heal. To drown out the nightmare of war and the crushing reality of poverty, Diniz turned to the bottle. Alcohol slowly became his escape, and eventually, his master. Diniz worked as an equipment manager at a local football club called CF Andorinha, as well as a municipal gardener. He was a quiet, gentle man when sober, but as the hours wore on, the shadow of drink would claim him. The neighborhood knew him as a drifter who spent his meager earnings at the local tavern. For little Cristiano, walking past those bars was a painful ordeal. He would often see his father slurred and unsteady, subjected to hushed whispers and cruel laughter from neighbors. It hurt the boy's pride deeply, yet beneath the shame, Cristiano felt a profound, aching pity. He knew his father was not a bad man. He was simply a wounded soul, fighting a war he could never win. Despite his tragic flaw, Diniz gave his son a gift that would alter the course of human history. It was Diniz who brought 8-year-old Cristiano to Andorinha, introducing him to his first real football team. Diniz would clean the dirt off Cristiano's boots, patch up his torn jerseys, and stand quietly on the sidelines, watching his boy dance with the ball. While Diniz could not offer his family financial security or a peaceful home, he offered Cristiano an open door to the world of football. Watching his father suffer in the grip of addiction planted a fierce, burning fire inside Cristiano's chest. He loved his father fiercely, but he hated the liquid poison that was destroying him. He made a quiet, sacred vow to himself on those dusty streets. He would never touch a single drop of alcohol in his entire life, and he would work so hard that one day he would buy a cure for his father and rescue his family from darkness forever. When Cristiano turned 12, his extraordinary talent forced him to make a heartbreaking choice. Sporting Lisbon, one of Portugal's top football academies, offered him a trial and immediately wanted to sign him. But accepting the offer meant leaving his home, his mother, and his family on Madeira to move nearly 600 kilometers away to mainland Portugal. Standing at the small airport, clutching a cheap suitcase, the young boy sobbed uncontrollably in his mother's arms. He was just a frightened child, terrified of the vast, unknown world waiting for him across the ocean. Life at the academy in Lisbon was an emotional nightmare. The urban boys made relentless fun of his thick Madeiran accent, openly mocking his rustic way of speaking. Every single evening, after the training lights went out, Cristiano would lock himself in his dormitory room and weep into his pillow, aching for his mother's cooking and his father's voice. He called home crying almost every day, begging his mother to let him come back. But Dolores, knowing that football was his only escape from a life of poverty, held back her own tears and urged him to stay strong. Channeling his unbearable loneliness into motivation, Cristiano began staying behind after hours, sneaking into the academy gym at midnight to build muscle and refine his footwork in the dark. Just as his star began to rise, a terrifying shadow fell over his dreams. At age 15, during a routine medical examination, doctors discovered that Cristiano suffered from a serious heart condition. His heart beat abnormally fast, even when he was completely at rest. Playing professional sports with a racing heart meant risking a sudden, fatal heart attack. His world crumbled instantly. The boy who had sacrificed his entire childhood for football was told that his career might be over before it had even truly begun. With his mother's consent, Cristiano underwent a delicate heart operation using a laser to cauterize the problematic pathway, causing the irregular rhythm. The procedure carried immense emotional weight, but the young boy showed astonishing courage. Miraculously, the surgery was a complete success. Just days after being discharged from the hospital, while most people would still be recovering in bed, Cristiano was back on the training pitch. He ran faster, jumped higher, and pushed his body harder than ever before. His heart was no longer a fatal flaw. It had become a relentless engine fueled by pure willpower. In August 2003, an 18-year-old Cristiano stepped onto the pitch at Old Trafford, dazzling the world with dizzying stepovers. Sir Alex Ferguson had seen the rare genius in him and handed him the legendary number 7 shirt, a number worn by icons like George Best and David Beckham. Almost overnight, the boy from Madeira was transformed into a global sensation. Money began to flow into his hands, and for the first time in his life, he had the power to give his family everything they had ever been denied. He immediately bought a beautiful home for his mother and tried desperately to get his father the best medical care available. But some wounds run too deep for money to heal. Diniz had been drinking heavily for decades, and his body was quietly surrendering to liver failure. Cristiano offered to send him to top private clinics across Europe, begging him to stop, but the dark addiction held his father in a suffocating grip. Then came September 2005. Cristiano was in Russia preparing for a vital World Cup qualifier when the crushing news reached him. His father's condition had turned fatal in a London hospital. Devastated, he approached Sir Alex Ferguson. In a moment that Cristiano would cherish forever, the legendary manager put an arm around the weeping boy and said without hesitation, "Go!" Family comes before any football match. Cristiano rushed to his father's bedside, but time had run out. On September 7, 2005, José Diniz Aveiro passed away at the age of 52. Holding his father's cold, frail hand, Cristiano wept tears of absolute helplessness. He was on the verge of becoming the greatest footballer on earth, yet he couldn't save the man who had first laced his boots. His father would never see him win his first Champions League, nor would he see him hold the shiny Ballon d'Or trophy high in the air. The boy had earned all the riches in the world, but he had lost the one person he wanted to make proud above all others. Returning to Old Trafford, Cristiano played with a sorrowful fury, pointing his fingers to the sky after every goal, sending a quiet message to the clouds. "This is for you, Papa." Many people look at Cristiano Ronaldo's unnatural physical condition and relentless work ethic and mistake it for cold arrogance. They see a man who trains when others rest, eats with calculated precision, and refuses to drink a single drop of alcohol. But this iron discipline was not built out of vanity. It was forged in the fire of a personal tragedy. Having watched his father slowly fade away in the grip of alcoholism, Cristiano chose a path of absolute purity. He swore never to let alcohol touch his lips, guarding his body like a sacred temple to honor the life his father lost. He even chose to keep his skin completely free of tattoos, a rarity among modern athletes, simply so he could regularly donate blood to help strangers in medical need. Every trophy, every goal, and every grueling session in the gym was a silent conversation with his absent father. Yet, despite winning 5 Ballon d'Ors and 5 Champions League titles, an aching void remained in his heart. In a candid interview in 2019, Cristiano was shown a brief, forgotten video clip of his father standing on a doorstep, speaking with quiet pride about his son just before the 2004 European Championship. When the clip ended, the world's most relentless athlete broke down completely. Tears streamed down his face as he covered his eyes, unable to speak for moments. "I never saw this video," he sobbed. "I thought the interview would be funny, but I didn't expect to cry." When asked what made him so sad, Cristiano replied through his tears, "To be number one." And he didn't see anything. He didn't see me receive awards. My family saw, my mother, my brothers, even my oldest son. But my father, he saw nothing. That tearful moment revealed the true soul of a legend. Beneath the muscular armor and the record-breaking stats lies a boy who still misses his father's embrace. His greatness was never just about outrunning defenders. It was about honoring a memory and proving that a child from a leaking roof on Madeira could overcome the darkest inherited shadows. My friend, we often admire legends for their gold and glory, forgetting the tears that watered their path. Cristiano Ronaldo's life teaches us that discipline is not a punishment. It is the highest form of love and respect for those who believed in us when we had nothing. Pain can either crush you, or it can forge an unbreakable spirit. If you are fighting your own quiet battle tonight, feeling forgotten or burdened by the shadows of your past, remember the boy from Madeira. You don't need a perfect start to build a meaningful life. You only need the courage to keep moving forward. Thank you for spending your valuable time with me tonight on VitaCast. If this story touched your heart, please share it with someone who might need a spark of hope. Until next time, no matter what happens, take care of yourself.